Hey everybody, I hope you and your loved ones are safe, happy, and healthy. Before you listen to or watch the show, remember to subscribe and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn to stay up to date with all the latest news and updates from my legal club. If you, your family, or your business need any legal support or no obligation solicitor quotes, please get in touch with us at mylegalclub.co.uk. Before you listen to the show, please note the content is for information purposes only and is not to be relied upon. Stay well, and I hope you enjoy the show.
Welcome to the MLC show for property professionals. My name is Sean Rogers. I'm delighted to be your host, and I'm even more delighted to be joined by my friend and an absolutely fantastic person in Michael O'Brien. Mike is of Next Generation Estate Planning, powered by HoneyPro, and we are here today to talk about something I'm very excited about. I hope Mike is too. I'm sure he is, in that my legal club have partnered with Next Gen so that mortgage brokers and estate agents can refer their clients via us into Next Gen and HoneyPro in a really great way so that your clients can get a free estate planning report to outline what kind of wills would be ideal for them, whether any other aspects will be needed, such as lasting powers of attorney for health and welfare being a key one. And the payment options available are huge on this, because it's not your typical law firm charging fees up front, needing to be paid in full. There are payment plans available over 60 months. So I am going to play the role of devil's advocate here. I'm here to grill Mike and ask him all the questions that if I was a mortgage broker or an estate agent, I would ask, so that we can try and get you as much information as possible. It's free to register for my legal club if you're a mortgage broker or estate agent. You can take a look around the conveyancing service, which obviously I'm biased, but we're very client focused. We vet the law firms very carefully. We interview the fee earners. That's one of the big things we do. I'm a 15-year qualified solicitor at the time of recording, and I'm independent. And my legal club, albeit conveyancing, is not subject to this. We are an FCA regulated business, although we don't operate in mortgage areas. So we are almost dually regulated in that sense, which is a little bit different. We work with 300 brokers nationwide and a number of independent estate agents, and we're really happy with how we're working. We work with firms like Chadwick Lawrence, Brearley's, Thremo, who are the #1 remortgage firm on Trustpilot, and we're really happy with the way things are going. We take a very different approach to updates in terms of being very proactive. So that's well worth having a look at. So you can register for free at mylegalclub.co.uk. You can go to mylegalclubconveyancing.co.uk, and when you take a look around, you can do your conveyancing in there if that's what you want to do, and make your referrals there. But even if you just want to use it for the wills and estate plan and referrals, it's really slick and easy to do. That's what we're going to be talking about on this show today. So the first bit, if you were on our portal, you would be able to look at the FAQs and get more detail on this. So don't worry about making notes or forgetting anything that Mike answers on this. Most of the information is in our portal anyway, but there's also a form in there if you do want to make any referrals through. So we'll start at the beginning. Mike, if I'm a mortgage broker and estate agent and I have never referred my clients for wills and estate planning, why should I consider doing this?
So first up, I think is probably peace of mind for your client. It's a massive opportunity for you to add an additional service which your client needs, and also generate that additional revenue for your business. I am seeing more and more businesses open their own sort of wills departments, or like publicize that they've got partnerships in place. If you're not providing this service to your clients, somebody else will. And when they're filling out these documents and they're telling these people like what all their assets are, what their insurances are, what their pensions are, these are ideal opportunities for these other businesses to start those conversations with your clients. So for me, top of the shop is a service that your clients need, but it's also a service that protects your business as well.
And also from an economic point of view, I'm guessing it would add an extra referral stream, another revenue stream, ultimately for the mortgage brokers and the estate agents there. I'll just touch on that now and get it out of the way early, if you will. So it works much the same with our conveyancing solicitors. So the referral fees get paid to us. We normally advance referral fees to brokers and estate agents, and we ultimately get reimbursed in that regard. So 22.5% of the fees paid by your client get paid to the mortgage broker or the estate agent via us. We would generally anticipate making payments to you on the 18th of the month, following the expiry of a 14-day cooling off period. So as an example, if a purchase is made on the 15th of November, we would expect you to have the money no later than the 18th of December. 18th of December is when we would say to have it. There's every likelihood that we would advance that to you, but that's not something we commit to contractually for obvious reasons, but we've kind of always been able to advance referral fees. That's something that brokers and estate agents that work with us currently be able to attest to that as well. And all of this information and detail, again, is in the My Legal Club conveyancing portal. Mike, if I'm a broker and estate agent that has referred to law firms before and had a bad experience, or I'm currently doing that and I'm okay about it, why should I consider logging into My Legal Club and making referrals to Next Gen and you?
Yeah, so our back office team are part of the Honey Legal group of companies. We're FCA regulated, CLC regulated, SRA regulated, step qualified solicitors. Over 10,000 5-star Trustpilot reviews. We are the best in our sector at what we do. So you can rest assured your customer's going to be well looked after. We've built a really simple process. So we have an online web form. You can save it to your desktop. It refers directly into our consultant team. And then once your referral comes across to us, we provide you with constant updates throughout. So it's a fully managed service. You can rest assured that your customer's being looked after, but you're also being kept up to date throughout the process as well. Because I fully appreciate there's nothing worse than handing your client over to somebody and not knowing what's happening. You've worked really hard to get them, and you don't want to pass them on to a third party that might let them down, and ultimately that would let you down because you're a reflection of who you work with.
And any mortgage brokers or estate agents may not be aware, what would be the importance to clients in going through this free estate planning report? So that's the key. They're referring their clients to ultimately conduct a free estate planning report, to take a free and no obligation assessment of what they may or may not need from a wills and estate planning point of view. But why is it so important that their clients would have a will? What's the importance of them having the lasting power of attorney, and particularly with a view on mortgage brokers, I guess, from a remortgaging point of view and an interest rate point of view? What are some of the reasons why they should probably be more proactive about this if it's something they've not looked at being proactive about before?
Ultimately, these documents give your customer the control. So if you've got a will in place, your customer gets the ability to dictate, who receives what and when. And without a will in place, it's left up to the government to decide in line with their current guidelines. Same with lasting power of attorneys. Your customer's got the ability to choose that person that they know and trust will make the right decisions on their behalf if they can't any longer. Lasting power of attorneys is a living document. And although none of us wish that we're going to lose capacity, we really don't know what's around the corner and what's going to happen. So if the worst does happen, you've already decided who's going to support you in making those decisions. It has a big part to play in the mortgage arena, in my opinion, because if you can't change, you lose a bit of capacity. You can't sort of change your mortgage deal, loans, rental agreements. If you're a landlord, it has massive implications on all those knock-on products and services. So as a mortgage broker, if your customer loses capacity and you've put them on a 2-year fixed deal, they may not be able to move on to another deal, so they slide onto their SVR. And that's a massive monthly implication potentially, and you could have helped them avoid that. As part of your service, you're adding value to your customer and you're educating them and supporting them.
And what's the process if I'm a mortgage broker and estate agent? I'm in the My Legal Club portal. I see that you do wills and estate planning. Have a look at it, look at the FAQs. Really happy to start the ball rolling. What's the process after I've put my client's details through? And I'll start on this actually, that once you do put your client's details through, there's basically a form fill on our website, and that'll go straight into via very safe, cyber APIs straight into Mike at NextGen and his team. It will also be emailed over to Mike and his team, but you will also get an email of acknowledgement as the mortgage broker and or estate agent there. And also the client will get an acknowledgement email outlining and writing the next steps for them too. And then it would be for NextGen to go from there. But Mike, can you walk us through what the expectations that people can have in terms of times, in terms of what happens next, and in terms of service standards?
Yeah, absolutely. So we ask when you send a referral over to us that you try and give us a 48-hour window, prior to us contacting the customer, so we could sort of manage the timescales. Once we receive a lead, what we would do is we would reach out to the customer and look to confirm the right time and day to be contacting them and taking them through the review. Once we've done this successfully, we would update you on that. You would receive an email informing you of what time that's been booked for. So that offers you as an opportunity as a broker to make a note in your diary and maybe revisit the customer and just ask them what their experience was. And you can help us nurture that sort of opportunity forward. Okay. If we're unsuccessful in contacting the customer, what we would look to do is we would send them an invitation indicatively based on the time and date that you've sent us already. Okay, because they're aware of it. You've spoken to them. If we can't contact them straight away and sort of confirm it up, we just want them to be aware that we've received the referral from yourselves and it's being managed. Okay. So they're the initial steps.
And then if I was to have clients go through the free estate planning report, what can their clients see within that estate planning report? Would the estate agent and mortgage broker get access to that? Is that something they need to request to see? Is that something the client would have to sort of CC them into, if you like? And what does an estate planning report look like and contain? Ultimately, what information is being given to the clients at that point for them to make a call?
Yeah, no problem at all. So what our guys would do is they would take the customer through the review, and then based on their individual circumstances, it opens up more and more questions. So they would then receive a report which details, based on their individual circumstances, what documents they need to consider, why they need to consider them, and the implications of what happens without them. Now, depending on that person's circumstances, they might be provided with 3 options: a bronze, a silver, and a gold option. And those options are just built with different products in mind. So bronze would typically be your wills and your lasting power of attorneys. And then silver would have some trusts in it. And gold, again, would have additional trusts as well. So it just sort of scales it all out. There is a matrix. So it's a little bit like when you use Compare the Market. It gives you a breakdown of what documents are involved, which documents aren't involved in each individual package. And then obviously, depending on the customer's budget, we know bronze is a minimum. We know gold is like all singing, all dancing, but we would talk them through and we would have a look at what works best for them currently and with the budget they've got to work with. Because we create a client portal for every customer, and it may be that they start with bronze and then they revisit this with us and we actually start adding trusts in at a later date. So there's that opportunity to sort of scale it in line with your affordability. We can offer funding over up to 60 months as well. So traditionally, that's not available through your high street solicitor. It's an upfront payment before they enter into any work with you. We can make it a lot more affordable for a lot more people.
If I'm the broker or estate agent, 2 things I'd be thinking about. One is updates until closure. And second thing would be, what if my client gets in touch with me and complains about no contact, missed appointments, heaven forbid, but the actual service itself, feeling that they haven't been looked after properly, the questions aren't being answered, etc. We both know, and everyone is very aware and conscious of how much word of mouth business goes into estate agents, mortgage brokers, how important their brand is. To refer a client to a third party, they're taking a big risk, and it's vital that that service is there. So in terms of updates and any client complaints, what would mortgage brokers and estate agents do in both of those regards? Read updates and also any complaints from a client.
So the updates are automated. So as the customer works their way through the journey with one of our consultants, you'll get signposted updates throughout. So you'll get if they've spoken to the customer, they've been quoted, you'll receive a quoted email. If a sale's taken place, you'll receive a sold email with a notification of the value of the sale, so you can look at your commissions, etc. And then other benchmarks throughout. So once the customer's actually fulfilled the documents and they've submitted them for check-in, once they've been checked, once they've been issued to the client. So you're kept up to date throughout the whole process, and it gives you the opportunity to sort of liaise with your client if you wish as well, and sort of support the sale through. Okay. In terms of contact, you can contact us at any time on info@honeypro.co.uk. There's also an 0800 number that yourself or your customers can go through on. That's detailed in the FAQs. If there is ever an issue or a complaint, like, my mobile number is available, you can contact me directly. That's not a problem at all. So that's 07864 680 343.
And client security, if I'm mortgage broker, estate agent, etc., and I'm passing my client through, let's use the example of a mortgage broker for now, I obviously won't just be looking potentially at the remortgage aspects of this and any future purchases they may wish to make. I might be looking at areas of home insurance, obviously things like potentially critical illness, life, etc. The client security to me is really important. I don't want anyone potentially trying to capture those elements from me. Is there any risk of that going through this process? How could you reassure any mortgage brokers or estate agents in terms of client security?
Absolutely no risk of that at all. I mean, that's part of the conversation I have with brokers on a daily basis, is safeguarding you from your competitors who would do that. Honey Pro, we're dedicated estate planning company. All we're interested in doing is servicing clients' needs for wills, lasting power of attorneys, and will trusts. That's where we stop. Nothing gets passed to any other third party.
If I'm a mortgage broker or estate agent that hasn't got stuck into this in the past and hasn't been making these referrals before and got awareness of it, I think I'd be very interested in looking at this and potentially giving this a go, but I would be nervous about how to pitch it. I think I obviously wouldn't want to say anything wrong in such a complex area. I wouldn't want to say the wrong thing even about the Honey Pro process in terms of referring people in. What help and support, if any, is there available to people in terms of training staff, having this in their literature, having this in an onboarding pack, having something they can send to clients, or include it in an original, I'm going to say fact find, but I think everyone knows what I mean by that in terms of their initial engagement with a client when they, you're getting the basics ultimately, like name, address, email, things like that. What help and support can we offer from my legal club with the support of you, Mike, to help them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got documents available that I can share with mortgage brokers. I run training sessions with teams and individual brokers on a regular basis, sort of coaching you about how you position it within that sort of discussion with the customer, how you sort of platform it, and help the customer realize the importance of looking at this as part of the sort of home financing journey with yourselves. For me, it fits within the journey. It adds value, it protects you. It foreseeable financial harm. Consumer duty rings true throughout these conversations all day, every day. And I can support you in sort of protecting yourself and like providing this service for your customers. Not everyone's going to choose to move forward with it, and that's fine. We appreciate that's the case, but we can provide every customer with that report that details what they need, why they need it, and what happens without it. So you can sit there and say, well, actually, I've fulfilled my responsibility as much as possible in supporting this client. And that's what we're here for. And I will coach you and teach you and answer any questions that you may have about sort of positioning this in the right way with the client. I'm not going to ask you to sell this. That's not what you would do as a broker. You identify the opportunity and you help your client understand why they need to consider it, and then you pass it over to us as the professionals and we do the rest.
Yeah, I mean, over 60% of UK adults don't have a will. And this is obviously the direct effect on cost of selling your estate and so forth. But dying without a will costs on average £9,700 in various studies, and research also suggests there's about 175 million in assets lost each year to bereaved families if a relative dies intestate or with an outdated will. So the fact that 60% of UK adults don't have a will, that suggests that 60% of your clients may have a need and an interest in this. And also that doesn't include people who might want to update that. And the numbers on lasting powers of attorney for health and welfare are absolutely on the floor. It's not the most exciting thing to look at, but it's a must, not a should, at least to look at it. And I think the best thing about this isn't just the service standards that you provide. The thing that excites me is there's lots and lots of really top qualified lawyers in this area, because wills in particular has been a non-regulated area that the Law Society has been trying to put a lot of pressure on, I think rightly, to get regulated. And that's where it's great, Mike, that you've pretty much got every regulatory banner that you can basically have within the group of companies. But I think the key thing for me as well, for clients, one of the biggest hurdles to overcome is having to put those upfront funds down. And whether it be that £800, £900, £1,000, 600 quid, whatever the sum of money be, especially if you're buying a house, not just the remortgaging aspect of this, but if you're buying a house with the money you're shelling out on legal fees, surveys, search fees, things like that, the ability for this to be paid on the drip, so to speak, the ability for this to be spread over 60 months, for me is a bit of a game changer, because it fits in not dissimilar to some of the other products that people will be talking about at the time, like home insurance, life insurance, critical illness, and it does therefore become a lot more affordable than putting that big chunk of funds down right at the off. Have you found, am I right on that? Is that something you've had feedback from brokers and estate agents on, or has that not been as big a benefit as I suspect it may be?
No, absolutely it is. I mean, it opens it up to a much larger audience. I mean, some of the firms we work with, and they actually look at sort of adding the cost of these packages into the loan itself. And then it can meet, it's the cost of a cup of coffee, in terms of a monthly payment. It just makes it an absolute no-brainer to sort of build it into your proposition. Because the costs that these documents will help you avoid if you were to lose, capacity are substantial. We were talking about it just the other day. Year one costs to try and obtain power of attorney are in excess of £5,000. And then your ongoing costs, upwards of £2,000 a year potentially as well. Whereas with a bit of forward planning and ensuring the documents are in place, you can avoid those costs altogether.
Yeah, the key thing that made my eyes pop out were the chat about interest rates and falling on that standard variable rate. If interest rates were at, I don't know, you might even be really lucky to be on like 4.75 or something like that. But if you fall on standard variable rate, and standard variable rate could be, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, whatever it might be, you aggregate that up through the months and then the additional legal costs and trying to put the solution in place because you haven't got the option off the shelf, so to speak, to then put in place. I mean, that is a nightmare. That's a genuine nightmare, isn't it, at that point in time? I mean, the hit monthly on that, as well as the gross sum to sort this out, could be enormous potentially.
Exactly that. Yeah, horrendous. I mean, I crunched some numbers just on an average loan, 200,000, 25 years, moving between a 5% to an 8%, and it was £375 a month. And that's open-ended. If you lose capacity, you don't know how long it's going to take for you to get the POA to be able to renegotiate those deals.
1,000,000%. So in summary, the My Legal Club Conveyancing Portal, you can go to mylegalclub.co.uk. You can go to mylegalclubconveyancing.co.uk. It takes 60 seconds to register. It's free. It's no obligation. There's lots more information in there for you to take a look at and have a look at. We can set up any queries with Mike that you might have so you can get them addressed. And if you're happy to do so, I hope that gives you a lot more information about how your clients will be looked after, how the process works. I think the key point from Mike is client security there. These are services that clients do need. And if they secure them elsewhere, it takes the control away from you of a degree of the services that you want to continue to provide to those clients. And I think it will supplement the word of mouth recommendations even further, because it's great that the clients get free, no obligation, affordable, top legal solutions, and ultimately what's not to like at that point in time. And as I say, although it's not the primary aim, it's nice as well that if this is something that your clients are using, there's just that additional revenue stream as well, which at times like these is not to be sniffed at either, really, albeit, of course, a secondary benefit rather than the primary benefit and primary concern of looking after your clients and making sure that they've got what they need. So thanks so much for your time, Mike. Really grateful. I hope that was a good listen or watch. And as I say, more details on my legal club and my legal conveyancing.co.uk. As always, this is for information purposes only. All the disclaimers are on the podcast, the YouTube, and the website. But more importantly, stay well, take care. And if you're listening to this before Christmas, have a fantastic festive holiday and a break, and roll on 2024.